Hey everybody, welcome to the Loft Sessions, brought to you by MH Fitness.
Micah Hankins, that's me.
MH. Hey, today is a great one. We're going to hook you in. We're going to draw you in right here, right now. This is about some powerful topics: ego, identity, shame, pride, and we have some things as far as takeaways. I promise you that if you stay to the end, there's going to be some stuff that you can apply to your life that I think is going to bring some freedom and power. Why do I know that? Because we filmed this entire thing for an hour, and I forgot to push record. I've been afraid of doing this the whole time. But the thing we know is this ends strong, so hang in there. So Mike, I want to start off with, we're talking about identity, and one of the questions is, who am I? Who are you? And that's one of the places we all struggle with. And as we try to work out who our identity is, when we're in touch with that, when our identity matches our life, that's a place of good pride. We're proud of what we do, and we're proud of who we are, and we live abundantly out of that. When we live, if we're confused about who we are, or if we are living in falsehood, if we're pretending to be somebody we're not, that brings us to false pride. We're proud of things that we should not be proud of, and that leads to...
it will come crashing down.
That will come crashing down. And that leads to a place of confusion, and that leads to a place of the worst thing of all, of shame.
Shame,
and
anxiety, depression, all
we're going to talk about some shame here stuff
down.
And where that's come out. And so in this thing of balancing ego, pride, and those kind of topics, what is this as we think about that where ego is good for us and where ego and humility, are at odds?
This is something new that we didn't talk about in the previous podcast we didn't tape.
Right.
Ego enables us to go, I can fucking do this, let me at it.
Confidence.
It's confidence.
Yes.
So, and it's also, I don't mean ego as in the bravado. I mean ego as in I've built up this person inside me that believes I can do this thing. That's ego.
Yes.
Ego isn't the guy with the big fucking tires on his truck. That's something we say, oh, that guy's got a big ego. He's got a false ego.
Yes.
We all have an ego.
Yes.
True ego, I think one that serves us is one that's built in history, confidence, and competence.
Yes.
Right? That goes, I can do this, just let me have a chance, right? Even if I don't know what I'm doing, let me have a chance, I can do this. That's ego.
Put me in, coach.
In a healthy way.
Put me in.
But,
yes.
This just occurred to me as we're talking, ego without humility is ego out of control.
Yes.
And that becomes self-destructive. I want to ask you, because like I said before, there's very distinct phases of Jay.
Yes.
Almost in a timeline. You can go, okay, this is Jay 1.0.
Right.
This is the birth of Jay 2.0. And I believe we're in the birth of Jay 3.0 coming up here.
Right.
Jay 1.0, very successful, business person, wife, kids, house, all that stuff, right? You nailed it down. You had the formula down. Take me through Jay 1.0, where the construct for that came from.
Absolutely. I mean, this is just rapid fire, not even thinking about it.
Right.
So I have a lot of pride in this. I don't know if it's good or bad pride, but I'm fourth and fifth generation Northern Californian. I always introduce myself that way. One side, our general store merchants had stores throughout Northern California, and it was the gathering place. It was the place the gold was stored in the safe. It was the foundation of the community. There's the bank, the church, and the general store. Right. So one side of the family were, come over on covered wagon and settled all these places in the 1880s and had general stores all over the place. Very, very, successful, and was constantly heard that growing up. These guys, out of nothing built this legacy and passed it on to their children and great-great-grandchildren, all these kind of things. The other side, cattle ranchers, came over from Germany on a boat, on a ship, immigrated, had 2 oxen, plowed ground, got money, homesteaded, and then built this enormous empire of a cattle ranch. And so through all of my life, no one ever said, Jay, let me tell you what success is. I saw it with my eyes every single day, that success is being strong, independent, not needing anybody, being financially successful, and most of all, being tough. I don't care what happened with the Great Depression. I don't care what happened with the worst snowstorm. The store goes on. The cattle ranch goes on. And all the stories of heroic things that I heard about were about those topics.
Getting shot in the leg with an arrow.
Well,
versus,
and the other thing is being tough.
Tough.
That I shared this
Scrape it
idea.
off, you're not really hurt.
That when I would come in, from a bike wreck, 5, 6 years old, the very first thing I heard was, And I think this was given to me. This was not given in a sense of meanness. This was, I'm going to help you be tough. Yeah. This was the way that they thought love would happen was, oh, you're not hurt. You know, that you came in, you got in a bike wreck, your arm's all scraped up. You're not hurt. Let me tell you what hurt is. Hurt's when you're a cowboy out on the range and an Indian, you know, takes a arrow out of his quiver and shoots you in the leg. And the Indian's got to go back to camp. He's got to pour whiskey on it. He's got to break the arrow off and pull it through. You know, do you have an arrow in your leg? And I heard that all the time growing up. And I think, again, it was offered in the best way possible because they thought, if I make Jay tough enough, he'll be able to get through life. The problem was I became so tough that I was just...
acknowledge your own pain.
That, number one, I would say, I don't hurt. I don't have an arrow in my leg. That doesn't hurt. And number two, I told everybody around me. When they would say, I'm hurt, I'm like, you're not hurt. You don't have an arrow in your leg. I passed that on in the sense of being tough and then being successful, being independent. And so for Jay 1.0 was built out of a place of, I have to attain the sense of toughness. I have to attain the sense of financial independence and security at all costs. I don't care what happens. And the big thing that resulted in was I had no peace, no contentment, and was generally an angry person. And people would describe me as an asshole. My friends, my family would say, hey, you're a really great part of the time, but a lot of the time you are really hard to be around. And my mind was, well, you should go to war and see what that's like. You know, you should see what R&R on the weekends like when you've been, you know, battling this, building a company, you know, doing all the things I'm doing. So that was Jay 1.0.
So when did that phase begin to fail you?
Yes.
When did you begin to see the cracks in the armor and go, fuck, this isn't really what's making me happy. This isn't really fulfilling me. This thing that's been fed to me is failing me. When did that start to happen?
That when I began to notice that the way I wanted to think of myself, the things I thought were of the biggest value, being kind, being generous, having a good relationship with my wife at that time and my kids, that these are the most important things when those weren't the most important things. When growing my company, you know, by X% a year was where I was spending my time. When I started seeing a misalignment between the things I wanted to think about myself, who I thought my identity was, and who I really was, and somebody sat me down and said, hey, you really seem unhappy. You really seem like you are stressed all of the time. Why don't you think about making a career change and don't be a CEO anymore? And why don't you do something that is, you know, more fulfilling and just maybe not as hard? And my answer was, no, you do hard things because they're good for you.
Right. There's no arrow in my leg, so.
And then I looked back at that later on and said, no, I am damaging the relationships I care about the most and the things that I want to have happen, this future that I envision, I'm getting further and further away from that. And so then I said, I need to radically change my life and I need to work on the inner parts of me to be a kinder person. And number one, it was my kids. That we had a lot of great memories, a lot of great vacations, a lot of fun times, but a major portion of our relationship was me with my fist clenched, my teeth gritted, you know, on phone calls on the weekend.
Wartime dad.
Wartime dad. Or coming home from the war and saying, everybody leave me alone. I need a weekend of downtime because you don't know what I've gone through this week. And so literally, thank God that in this transition in my life that happened 5 years ago, that I said, if anything is going to happen out of this, I'm going to have a relationship with my kids. And literally, I would say, you know, just the grace of having the ability to choose that and then have them respond and go on road trips, talk about really painful things I didn't want to hear about, have them ask me really hard questions, that we went on, you know, all these excursions. And now, if I look back at the last 5 years, I'm the closest to my two kids. My daughter's in Portland. We talk, you know, had an hour phone call with her last night. My son's here in Chico. I see him multiple times a week. And to know that we are close feels like I won the lottery. Yep. It is the best thing that could have happened, and that was not the path I was on.
Go back to
reframing. I was going to say.
Yeah. Go back to reframing and then take us through this week.
Talk about irony. So we were here a week ago on Sunday, and we did no plan B. And we talked about this idea of reframing, which was funny. We never really said, but reframing was the idea when you're faced with an obstacle, a problem, you turn that into a positive. And so now then, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday, my life goes, and it is like I'm driving, 90 miles an hour down the road and hit black ice and slide into the wall and have a huge flaming car crash.
Cars falling to pieces,
Just
on the road.
blood
like
and
Iron
glass
Man
every place.
Sitting in the
Yes.
armor, just going, oh.
And so I had to like get up out of that car crash, and that was all about one thing: identity.
Well, I'll walk you through some of this, and then I want you to chime in again.
Yeah.
So Jay and I went on a walk day before yesterday, Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Went on a walk in the park on Friday,
Yes.
and it was so we worked out on Friday, and I was
Yes.
like, I'm gonna go for a walk. Jay's like, I want to go.
Yeah.
And I automatically knew that there's some heavy shit going on in Jay's life. Like I could just tell.
Yes.
And he needed to walk, and he needed to talk, and we went on this walk. So let me just say right off the bat, I knew that you came from an extreme place of humility. That was a lot for you to just come out and go, Micah, there's some shit going on in my life.
Yes.
But in what you told me of you, I talk about, I won't say her name.
Yeah.
But Jay was telling me about how he was really super humble in front of his lady and going like, I'm at this place, I'm kind of broken, I'm fucking falling to pieces.
Yes.
Here's all these things I want you to know.
Yes.
And what happened in his extreme vulnerability,
Right.
weakness,
Yes.
was that this person was able to show you the most strength,
Yes.
encouragement,
Yes.
support,
Yes.
which is ultimately what people like us need.
Exactly.
Is can we be this strong men,
Yes.
be vulnerable and weak,
Right.
and then allows these other people to go, I'm going to be your cheerleader.
Yes. No, so that brings up just so much stuff, and so I'm trying to like hold it together a little bit here.
Yeah.
The counterpart of pride, the counterpart of ego, the counterpart of a healthy identity is shame.
Right.
And shame, to me, I think is one of the most toxic, one of the most harmful things we can have in our life. And so, yeah, the very first person I thought of was my girlfriend, and I'm not using her name. She's a private person. I don't think she wants me talking about, her.
Right.
But just instinctively, I didn't even think about it. Speed dial, called her, we met, and I
Isn't
literally.
it funny though? Even if it's just to hear their voice, just go,
Yes.
hey, how's it going?
No.
Oh, hey, how are you doing? It's like you need that voice.
Yes, and I completely lost my shit. I completely fell apart. And here's the part of this that changes in the sense of identity. That not only was she able to be there and witness that and be okay in that place of, my God, this person's falling apart here over a job change. This is not like they found out they had stage 4 cancer.
Right.
That she was even more so, able to kind of speak the truth of, this is going to be a positive thing. Look at this as a fresh start, and I'm excited for you. And then you use that word, and when I shared this, you said no one's ever been in that role for you before. And so as I started talking about this, she said, I don't want to fix this for you. I don't, want to tell you what to do. I know that you have the capabilities of do this. I know that you have the abilities to move forward. What I want to do is encourage you. And she said, I want to, cheer you on. And so here's what that does. And I think we there's two things here that we all can take away from this. And I think that this is so incredibly powerful, that when we are humble, when we come and we put it out there as it is, and we're our real self, you're giving somebody the opportunity to speak down to you, to judge you, that they are going to have immense power on you to harm you. You're in a very weak, vulnerable place. And when you take that risk and somebody instead says, no, I don't like you because of the title on your business card. I don't like you because of what you do professionally. I like you because of your qualities. I like who you are, and that completely removes all the power of shame. That all of a sudden, all my inner voices that says you're not good enough, you're going to lose this relationship, that is not only just dissipated, it's turned around and it becomes a rocket, becomes a booster to propel you on, because it reminds me of who I am. It reminds me that back to that sense of a healthy ego, I am a kind person. I am somebody worth knowing. I am not my job.
And just know someone's got your back.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
And I think one more thing I'll say beneath that.
Yes.
That we all need to hear
Yes.
and be look, we can't be fucking naive. Make sure you have the right people in your corner.
Yes.
If they're not people you trust,
Right.
get them out of your life. If
Right.
they're people that talk down to you, get them out of your life. If they're negative people all the time, get them out of your life. I said it previously and I'll say it again. Parents, we need to start telling our kids we're proud of who they are.
Not of what they do.
Not of what they do. Because then we're putting them on a
Man.
performance-based love. We are proud of who you are. We love who you are.
Yes.
Now listen.
I enjoy being with you.
Right. Are there things we can teach
That is
each other?
powerful.
We can teach each other things as parents.
You
and sons
passed
and
on
daughters.
martial arts to your daughter.
Right.
But you're not proud of her because of her jab.
No.
You're proud of her.
I'm proud of my daughter for the amazing human being that she
Yes.
is, for her kind heart, for her empathy, for who she is as a human being. I tell her
Yes.
that every single day.
Yes.
Whether she gets $10 an hour or 50 or nothing, whether she's a bum, I don't
Yes.
give a shit.
Yes. Do not care.
I care about the quality human being she
Yes.
is. And everything else we'll figure out together. It's all just stuff.
And I'm going to end with this. If you want to do something powerful, I have two options for you today. There's two things you can do. You can go someplace and be humble. You can be transparent and real. Put yourself out there, because as you are humble, you are going to take away the power of shame in your life.
Absolutely.
You're going to break that power over you. Number two, if you want to be powerful in somebody else's life, be their cheerleader. Tell them that you are proud of them for what they do. No, excuse me. Look, Freudian sleep right there. Tell them you are proud of who they are, not of what they do.
Correct.
And you literally can make the world a better place.
Absolutely. Hey guys, episode 9. Thanks for riding with us. It's been quite the ride. Today's been a ride, guys.
Today's been a ride.
The outtakes are going to be fucking phenomenal because we did several takes. We were losing our minds. Literally, we were
Yes.
fucking getting hysterical.
Yes.
But I'm glad we stuck it out, guys. Again, this from us to you. All this is us trying to put something positive out into the world and trying to make a difference, even if it's one.
Yes.
We always joke about having 23 viewers. If it's one,
Yes.
and one person hears it and goes, hell yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to do. So if you dig what we're doing, guys, share the channel, share it with your friends. If you think it's of value, give us a thumbs up. Give us some feedback.
Love it.
We hope you guys have a rad weekend.
Yes.
And again, be mindful of pride and humility. Keep those things in balance. My sign out is, don't be a dick.
Mine is, hey, thanks, Alon. I'm going to explain what that is sometime because you're going to like this story, and it's about this exact topic.
We'll see you guys next week.
We did it.